Hello Libra, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot. My name is Laura, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of May 2022. So Libra, I hope you're all doing well. I'm excited to take a look and see what energy you might be contending with for the month of May. This reading will be for Libra Sun, Moon, and Rising. And as always, before we get into the reading itself, do keep in mind these are general in nature, so not all of the information that comes through will pertain to you specifically. So definitely take anything and everything that does resonate for you, however that makes sense for your specific situation. Keep an open mind to anything that might be helpful as you move through the month, and simply leave the rest. So just a little disclaimer before we get started for this month. I am tweaking my format a little bit in the hopes that the videos will be a little less long than usual. April has been an absolutely insane month for me. It's been really hectic and busy. My energy was off for the majority of the month. I'm feeling better now, but I was actually considering not doing readings this month. So I decided I would go ahead and do it because I really do enjoy it. It's good for me. So I figured maybe just trying to make the readings a little bit shorter will make it easier for me to get all 12 done. So I've just got one oracle card for you here. I will pull some tarot, we'll get you some affirmations, and I'll finish off with a second oracle card. But instead of openly interpreting, I'll just read directly from the guidebook, and we'll see how that kind of ties everything together. And as always, I will be beginning your reading with channeled messages before we start. So technically channeling is what I do the entire reading as I'm reading the cards, but I like to take a moment before I get your cards out, once I've started to connect to your energy, to just see what kind of information comes through without any visual cues, just for fun. So we'll start with those, and I've capped those at 5 for this month for the sake of brevity. So before we start with those channeled messages, I will tell you the impressions that I was picking up on as I was connecting to your energy. This may apply to all of you, maybe some of you, maybe just one of you, but there's some kind of interesting stuff that came through, so I want to highlight that first. But I very much got the sense of being like almost kind of distracted, unfocused, just kind of like, and like mostly distracted by other people. So it might be like the people around you. Maybe you're somebody who is easily distracted in general, but I got the sense like being more distracted with like what other people are doing, what they're saying, what they think, maybe what they think about you. It could be a specific person in general. And I kind of got the sense that there might also be like, it could be like a romantic interest specifically that it might be like a distraction for you. Like, I don't know if it's somebody that you're currently involved with, you have been involved with, you're hoping to be involved with, like, but I get the sense that there's like, there could be like some like projecting yourself into like a daydream situation with this person, or like maybe a lot of like thinking and wishing about how things could be versus how they are. But I just got the sense that like your energy might be very much tied up like outside of yourself, and it's like it's almost being like outside above yourself, like your head in the clouds kind of thing. So yeah, that could just be in general, or it could be associated to a specific person. I did get that might be it. And so there was a sense of like, yeah, being very daydreamy, not necessarily being really grounded and present and aware, like in the present moment. And it could be like, it kind of gave me like a bit of an escapist vibe. It honestly gave me a Pisces vibe. But so like daydreaming as a way to kind of avoid the things that are going on in like your day-to-day life. Like either maybe it's stressful, maybe it's just boring, maybe things just aren't the way that you want them to be. But I did get the sense that it's like kind of like living in a dream world, or projecting yourself into like fantasy to kind of avoid whatever's going on right now in your day-to-day life. And I kind of got the sense that there might be like competing interests, or like you might have a lot going on in like multiple areas of your life, or maybe just one or two, and it's just like stuff that you don't really want to have to deal with. And so that might be a way of avoiding it. But yeah, the other thing that came through, which felt really weird to me, but I'm going to say it anyways. I got the sense of being like disoriented and kind of confused, almost like, I almost felt like I had hit my head and I was disoriented, and like kind of like a little bit dizzy. And I also had this tingling, like right above my my hairline, like on my head, right above my forehead on my hairline, like the left hand side. I kept having this like little patch, this little area that was like tingling while I was feeling this. So I don't know if perhaps you have had a head injury in the past, maybe something recently, if you've knocked your head, if that kind of like, if you felt that sense of being a little bit disoriented, it might be worth keeping in mind, maybe getting checked out if it's something that's like, and if you're getting headaches as a result. Or it could just be like, maybe like be careful, especially if you're prone to hitting your head. Maybe just be mindful of that. I don't know. Kind of interesting. So we'll get into your channeled messages. And funnily enough, the first thing that came through when I really started to channel for you guys was fantasies and daydreams. So yeah, you might be in a really daydreamy energy where it's kind of like fun to, you know, fantasize and imagine like the best case scenario, or maybe the things that you are longing for in life that you don't currently have, maybe the goals that you want to achieve, but being really like caught up in that energy, and putting a lot of time and energy into that. And what I will say came along with that is like, I think there's like a huge amount of creative energy and potential that you have. And so it's kind of like, the thing that occurred to me is that you might be wasting a lot of your potential to like use that creative energy by daydreaming and in like in an escapist way, right? So it's like maybe something that you don't feel like you can take action on, or that may not like materialize in the physical world. And so it's just like daydreaming to kind of pacify yourself and give yourself something to feel good about. But it's kind of like, I think you might be missing the opportunity to really start to take action and see those things coming into your physical reality, right? So it's like, be mindful of the daydreaming that you're doing and recognize that like there could be a lot of creative potential that's just going right out the window because you're not channeling that into the real world, right? So it's kind of like, you might have daydreams, but then you might have blocks in terms of like what is possible. And you could very well start to allow those kind of like fantasies to inspire you to take action in the physical world and get a little bit closer to that actual outcome in your day-to-day life. So instead of just dreaming about it, right? The next thing that came through was Original Gangster, like OG, which I think is an old movie. I have not seen it, so I have no context for you there. But it's like also like the OG, like the original gangster, like, you know, that like old school, authentic, like the real deal kind of thing. So that might be you and your energy. You may feel like that's who you are, and maybe the people around you are not so much. Maybe they're like kind of fake, or like just not on the same level. Or it might be like focusing on the people who are your OGs. Maybe just one person. It could be the person that you're daydreaming about, to be honest with you. But however that makes sense to you, I think it's like, this month might be a good time to focus on like either the original people that you've connected with that are kind of like your solid people that you can rely on, or reconnecting with that part of yourself, like being an OG, right? And kind of like, the thing that comes to mind is having like an uncompromising approach to what's right for you in your life, like that kind of strength in your own authenticity and confidence, and not being taken off track by anyone else, right? So it's kind of like unapologetically being you. And I don't mean that in like a toxic, negative way where you're perpetuating like unhealthy behavior, or putting anyone at a disadvantage or hurting other people. But I mean like in terms of like, you know, who you are, what you value, what's important to you, like not compromising on those core things. So then the third channeled message that came through for you was finally being set free. And I thought this was interesting because like when I think of freedom, I often think of like us freeing ourselves, right? So it's like kind of freeing ourselves from shame and guilt and fear and expectations and the things that hold us back from really experiencing the things that are going to be most meaningful to us in life. And so I thought it was really interesting. The wording was, finally being set free. So the kind of feeling that whatever is hanging over you or whatever has been limiting you or keeping you from feeling or experiencing freedom is not like within your control. So maybe it's like a situation that you feel has been imposed on you, something that you haven't been able to do anything about, or like maybe dealing with another person that you haven't been able to like work with or compromise with. But there's a sense of like finally feeling like you're able to step away from whatever it is that's been kind of like a black cloud over you. And maybe like keeping you from really truly being able to connect with either the things that are most meaningful to you, or having the freedom to invest in those things, or just like having hope that things will get better, right? So it's like if you've been like kind of stuck in a bit of a rut or a dark place, there's kind of the sense of like, the light is coming in, like fog is lifting, things are starting to move forward for you. And maybe those blocks, whether it is imposed externally, it could just be a perception or a belief that you have, but it's like finally being able to step out of that energy where you feel like you're being contained somewhere that you don't want to be, or you feel like you're being limited or you're stagnating. So I thought that was really nice. Your fourth was cradle to the grave, and the thing that immediately came up is ride or die. And it's funny, like ride or die is not really, that's not my thing. Like that's not really something that I say or I think. But I know it is like a really common thing. So you might be somebody who is all about ride or dies. Maybe you have a ride or die. Maybe this is the person, this like other person's energy that I've been feeling like might be a bit of a distraction for you. But it's kind of like recognizing, like there are some people that you meet that you just get the sense, like even early on. So it's like, even if they don't, even if you haven't known them since you were a child, but you get the sense that it's like they're ride or die material. Like there's somebody who's going to play a major role in your life from that period forward. So it could be that in terms of like just people you really connect with, or like soulmate energy. It could be like the people that you have had in your life from day one, right? So like siblings, cousins, best friends, things like that. So yeah, like it could be other people and relationships, but it could also be like qualities. This is basically the idea, anything that you connect to, that it's like, yeah, cradle to the grave. So something that's going to be a part of you, impacting you, an important part of your life, like from beginning to end, and is not going to change. Like you might have moments of moving closer to or further away from it, but it's like ultimately it's there, right? You're not going to lose connection indefinitely. It's always going to be with you. So I don't know how that, it's like a very obscure reference to me, honestly. I don't know how that might apply to you. But, and I know it's also a movie, so maybe that's it, but I don't know. I really highly doubt that a Jet Li and DMX movie from like the early 2000s is going to be having like a major impact on your month, but I'm not going to speak for you. And the final message that came through was metaphors and melancholy. And so like, give me some emo vibes. But yeah, so metaphors, like, so drawing comparisons between two things. But it's not even necessarily like literally metaphors. The vibe that I'm getting is it's like, it's almost like a really emotional, poetic kind of energy. So you might be somebody, maybe you are a little bit on the artistic side, maybe artistic expression, particularly through spoken and written word, is something that is really helpful for you in terms of processing and expressing emotions. So yeah, it could be poetry, maybe writing poetry, maybe an appreciation of poetry. I feel like that there's like a very poetic vibe to it, but it could just be a creative outlet in general, like art, as a way of trying to process emotions. And the thing with melancholy, it's like, it's kind of like that nondescript sadness. So a feeling of sadness, but not necessarily knowing why you feel it or what it might be connected to. And for me, when I have feelings of melancholy, it's usually stuff that's triggered me that's like really deep rooted or really subconscious. And so it's like there's something there and I don't know what it is. And there's like a deeper exploration that needs to be kind of undergone in order to understand it. And so poetry, anything that's kind of like creative, really expressive, something that you can connect with on an emotional level in that creative realm might really help you to start to identify the feelings that you're feeling, maybe being able to understand and express them and move through them. Yeah, because there might be a little bit of sadness there, and it doesn't have to be just sadness, but I think it's just recognizing your emotions, the role that they play in your life. So we'll get into your messages here. Your oracle card is Imagine, which is really funny because this came out after I was connected to your energy, after I did your channeled messages. And like, I've never had this card come out thus far. I've had this deck for a few months now. So this is the first time. So I think that's really highlighted that like you guys really do have some kind of like imaginative, daydreamy, creative energy going on right now. And even if you don't particularly connect with that, or that doesn't resonate for you, this month I think is going to be a really good time for you to maybe start stepping into that energy, recognizing it, maybe giving it a little bit more space and seeing what it has to show you, because this coming out is telling me that this month is going to be a really good time to use those creative ideas, right? So, you know, allowing your imagination to soar, giving yourself time to explore that kind of creative side of yourself, the things that you would normally daydream about, like, and to realize, like, what does that say about you as a person and what you value, right? Like, what is your dream life? You know, who do you aspire to be? What do you aspire to experience? What kind of like calls to you? Because a lot of times we're taken in the direction we're expected to be really, really grounded and productive and realistic, right? And to be making sure that we're making calculated decisions and all of the actions that we're taking are resulting in some kind of obvious forward movement in our external world. And so we don't necessarily value imagination and creativity and daydreaming. A lot of times people do recognize it as being like an escapist kind of thing. It's not helpful. It's just, no, you're like, you're too daydreamy, you're too artsy, your head is in the clouds and you're not realistic, right? But the thing is that imagination and daydreaming, that is like our main connection to our creativity and our inspiration. And creativity and inspiration is kind of like a multiplier for manifestation, right? Like there's a lot of power in that. But that doesn't come by putting your head down and like forcing your way through life, like with brute force, right? It requires like time to stop and reflect and to kind of consider all of the opportunities that might be available to you, and that even those opportunities, to commit to those is almost limiting yourself because things can happen in ways that you might not even be able to imagine, right? So it's like connecting with like your own limitlessness, but also the limitlessness in terms of the world around you, the people around you, the experiences that you're going to be able to have. And so this is basically taking a look at like, so what do you want out of life? What does that look like? Even if it's a daydream, even if it doesn't feel realistic, or you don't see how it could possibly happen, or you think that it never could happen, at least not in a specific timeline. And just kind of like setting all of those expectations and limitations to the side and allowing yourself to step into that space where it's like, if you could dream anything into existence, what would it be? Because the idea is like, if you can dream it, you can do it. Like, you don't have to do it, and it's not guaranteed because you have to take that inspired action consistently, which is the hard part, right? Is like taking consistent action toward the things that you're inspired to do, because things don't always immediately materialize in the physical world, and sometimes we run into blocks. And because our creativity and our dreams are a little bit more intangible, it can be really easy to be taken off track by how things are progressing in the 3D, like in the physical world, and to kind of like give up on ourselves essentially, right? So this is basically saying like, it's important to stay connected to your dreams, to your inspiration, and to consider that, there aren't necessarily as many limitations as we think when it comes to like bringing our dreams into reality. Because on a very basic level, if you were to dream or imagine something, even if it seems unrealistic to you, if you can take the time to visualize that, you're connecting to that. And then if you allow your feelings to kind of intermingle with that vision, right? So it's like if you can visualize a situation that makes you happy, right? Or that you really want, and then you can allow yourself to emotionally connect with that image, right? To feel it, and then to consider, what would I feel like if I had that now? To connect with that. You've already said, like, this is what I want, and I can see it for myself and I can feel it. And now I'm saying, hey, this is something that could be real. And so you're allowing yourself to connect with basically that being in your reality already. And that is going to inspire you to take action that can make that possible. So it's like if you're already connected with the idea and you already feel it and you can see it, if you allow yourself to be impacted by it, then the actions that you take in the physical world are going to be inspired by that energy and ultimately allow you to kind of move toward creating that for yourself or manifesting that. And that's kind of like, that's what people mean when they talk about manifestation and like law of attraction. Is it's like, it's almost like you have to give yourself permission to connect with it and to acknowledge that it is possible, and to like maybe step out of limitation in order to start taking action, right? Because if you daydream it and you say, oh, that would be wonderful, but it's not possible. If you believe it's not possible, you're never going to let yourself do anything that would prove yourself otherwise, right? So it's like you kind of have to believe that you can connect with it, because what you believe is ultimately what's true for you. So if you believe it can't happen, it never will. And so that's why sometimes we can get ourselves stuck when it comes to like our dreams and our goals, because it's like, oh, we really, really want it and we would really love for it to happen, and we daydream all day. And then we say, no, it can't happen, or I can't do that. So I think it's recognizing that daydreaming can be a bit of a distraction, and it can be an escapist type of behavior that we use in order to avoid the parts of life that maybe we are not quite happy with, or just to kind of keep our morale up if things are not going to plan. But it's basically like I was saying at the very beginning, it's recognizing that there's a huge amount of creative power, and that to commit yourself to daydreaming in an escapist, avoidant way is taking all of that creative power that you could use to move your life forward in the physical world, or to take action in the physical world. You're just kind of sending it out into the ether. You're giving away your power, and it's not necessarily being channeled into anything for your benefit. And then it's just keeping you kind of stuck, right? And so it's recognizing that those things that you're daydreaming about, the things that you really want for yourself, what if they could happen? What if they could come true? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would that require of you? Like, what do you need to do? What do you need to change in order to have what it is you want to have, or to feel or experience what you want to feel, or to be who you want to be, right? And so there is a huge amount of power that you have. And if you can give yourself the opportunity to really like tap into it and experience it, and then allow that to inspire your action in the physical world, then it's like you might be surprised how quickly things can manifest, right? And so this can be anything. It can be career, money, it can be something related to family, something related to like a house, material, possessions. It can be love and relationships. So it's like if you're imagining a future with somebody, but you're like, no, it can never happen. Or it's like if you're imagining your like dream person, but you think like, no, I'll never meet them, or they don't really exist. It's kind of like recognizing your daydreams, what they mean to you, why they're important, why it is that you dream about those things, and if you are allowing yourself to believe that it could happen, because you might very well start connecting with evidence in the real world that indicates to you that those things are possible, or that person, is potentially like somebody that you've already met, or someone that you may meet, right? So it's kind of like connecting to the limitlessness in terms of like possibility, and letting yourself see the opportunities that are around you for that to kind of like come to fruition. And it's also about allowing yourself to participate like in anything like artistic or creative in terms of expression, because that's also a really powerful way for us to to kind of like manifest, right? So, you know, speaking things into existence, writing things down, there's power, because that's basically like taking something from an idea that's in our head, right? Or a vision that's in our head, and then actually the physical act of like writing something down or speaking it out loud, it makes it real. It takes it from like the ether, and it's something that we've connected to on like a mental or emotional or spiritual level, and like making it real. And so that's the first step of manifestation, is to kind of like put whatever it is that you're dreaming about out there. And if you can accept it as being something that's important to you, then it's like you can start taking action toward it, right? So there, you might have a lot of like limitations or or expectations around like how things can happen and if they can happen for you. So I don't know, like honestly, I'm feeling confused just reading your cards right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've got some like conflicting emotions around worth, your dreams, your manifestation, your ability to manifest. Interesting. So we'll get your tarot cards. Your first card for this month is Strength, which I absolutely love. That's the Leo card. Okay, so we'll get you a few more. Oh my goodness. Your second card is the Eight of Swords. So you've got 2 8s so far. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Your third card is the Hangman. And we'll get you one more. Oh, your final card is the Knight of Cups. So yeah, this very well may have to do with love and romance. This could be self-love. This very much tells me it might have to do with like, yeah, love, romance, intimate relationships, either like a potential relationship, what you want in a relationship, a current relationship. Very interesting. And Ace of Pentacles. So it's really interesting. This is all kind of mirroring. So I just want to say, to start out with, you've got the Strength card here as your first, which is an 8, and this is the Leo card, and then you've got the 8 of Swords here. So there's 2 8s. So normally I don't do this, but like I'm kind of like, August could be an important month. Maybe you're dealing with a Leo. Maybe you have strong Leo in your chart if you're into astrology. I am not sure. But also like August, the 8th month, could be significant to you in some way. Maybe something to keep in mind. Yes. So here with the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, this is all about well, it is very much tied to manifestation, right? And the idea that manifestation seems like this really like weird spiritual out there thing, but it's something that we do every day, right? So it's basically like having thoughts, having ideas, taking action on those ideas, and seeing them happen in the world around us, right? So that is how we achieve our goals. And the Ace of Pentacles, this is all about like the opportunity to start fresh, right? To plant a seed, to have an idea. And it often with Pentacles, it very much is rooted in our physical reality. So it could be related to money and finance. It could be related to career. It could be related to home, marriage, family, like house, material possessions and abundance. It doesn't have to be, but that's like very much highlighted with Pentacles energy. So it's kind of like an opportunity to kind of determine what it is that you're trying to manifest, what seed you want to plant, right? And so with this coming up at the bottom of the deck being the energy that's influencing this, it's like perhaps you're at a stage where there is like, you are kind of ready to set the next goal, or maybe there is specifically a career or a financial or material goal that you're ready to start working toward. And the thing is, it's like before we plant the seed, the intention is the important part, right? It's like what it is that we're trying to achieve, what it is that we want to grow, and being really intentional about that, because it's essentially like whatever energy you're in, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're striving for when you plant the seed, that's your inspiration, right? And that's going to impact what you get as your end result. So if you're not in a good place and you're manifesting something, whatever is influencing you, if it's like fear and anxiety, even if you're trying to manifest something that you think is going to be good for you, it's basically like the energy that's inspiring you to take action is going to kind of influence what it is that you're going to get at the end of the day, right? And so this is having an opportunity to start fresh. Like it could be a new job, it could be a new like financial opportunity, it could even be like a new relationship or like a new house or whatever. So there's like some kind of new energy here in terms of like a manifestation, and like this is something that you would take practical action toward, like in the real world. And so whatever it is that you're trying to build, whatever it is that you're wanting to start moving toward, if you're having difficulty either determining what that is or maybe figuring out how to take those steps, it doesn't have to be, but just in general for this month, you're being encouraged to come into the month in this like kind of like lion heart energy, right? Like connecting to your strength, believing in your strength. So it's like kind of like self-worth, self-care, self-love, knowing yourself, loving yourself, and looking out for yourself in a way that is going to represent your highest good. And it's recognizing that strength isn't just like being loud and strong and like having kind of an overbearing presence. It's not just physical strength, it's emotional strength and mental strength and resilience, right? And so it's like you can be fierce and you can take action, but you can also, be as gentle as a lamb, right? And so it's kind of like kindness, compassion, empathy, gentleness. Those are all qualities that are associated with strength. It takes a strong person to be able to treat other people with understanding and compassion when it might otherwise be easy to just judge or shut down. But it's also knowing that you've got boundaries and that, you can be gentle and kind and compassionate. But if people are going to overstep or kind of like trample on your boundaries or mistreat you, it's like you're not going to stand for that, right? And so it's trusting yourself to do what's right for you and to kind of balance out those displays of like outward strength and aggression where it's like nobody's going to mess with me, but also the juxtaposition of that more aggressive energy with the gentleness and kindness and compassion that you can extend to people. So it might be that you have a certain level of discomfort with one of those energies, because I do get the sense that there's a need for balance, right? In terms of following your heart and doing what's right for you, there's a need for balance because sometimes we do need to stand up and assert ourselves more aggressively, and other times we have to do it in a more supportive and gentle way. So you might be averse to like maybe giving yourself or others the kindness and compassion because you think that it demonstrates weakness or that people are going to take advantage of you. Or it might be the converse of like the more aggressive, assertive side of it. You don't want to be seen as somebody who's overbearing, or very much get the sense that it's like not giving a shit what other people think, and trusting yourself to navigate in a kind and true manner, because like strength, it takes courage. It takes courage to navigate life and to kind of connect with our inner strength, especially during challenges, but to trust ourselves to do what's right at the end of the day, right? So it's basically like connecting to that. And I think that there's like a lot of self-empowerment with this. And it's like if you don't want to be seen as somebody who's daydreamy, but you're using daydreaming as an escape, it's like you can make that work for you. Those ideas, those visions, and that creativity, you can make that work for you. And I think if you have any kind of aversion to that, either because of your own ideas about it or because you're worried about what other people will think of you, it's kind of like what's most important is you do what's right for you. And so it's like connecting to that confidence, and also like your self-worth. It's like you deserve to start moving toward your dreams. And it's like manifesting dreams and a dream life is not just for other people, it's for you too. And your challenge for this month is actually coming up as the 8 of Swords, which is all about, it's all about how our perceptions and our fears, the way that we think about ourselves and the world can actually kind of like blind us and limit us. So a lot of times the things that we experience as like challenges or limitations, like things that we can't do or things that keep us stuck. This is very much an energy of feeling stuck, powerless, helpless, like there's nothing that you can do. And a lot of times that's not actually the reality of the situation, that we're stuck and that we're helpless. It's just what we believe to be true. It's what we perceive as a result of maybe past experiences, fears of the past repeating itself. It could be external conditioning like family or societal, or it could be a way of trying to keep ourselves safe. So you can see here, like her reflection shows that she is bound, right? She's bound, she's blindfolded, she can't see what's going on. She doesn't have the information that she needs to see the truth and to know, to find a way out. And she's bound by all of these crows. And these crows, like the swords, represent those challenging thoughts. So it can be fear, anxiety, and limiting beliefs. Honestly, like Eight of Swords is a lot about limiting beliefs. And it's kind of like, it's all imagined, right? Because in reality, in the physical world, she's sitting here with her eyes closed and she's not bound. But because she believes she is, that is what's reflected to her in the external world. So this is not her actual reality, but this is what she believes her reality to be. So this reflection is a projection of what's going on in her head, like what she values, what she believes. And so if she believes herself to be stuck, to be blindfolded, to be paralyzed by fear or the unknown or powerlessness, that's all she's ever going to see. That's all she's going to experience. And so it's recognizing that our minds are very, very powerful. And then when it comes to fear and anxiety, they can really grip us heavily, and they can actually influence us in such a way that it disconnects us from the reality of our experience. And so if you suffer from like overanalysis, anxiety, fear, like that kind of stuff, it's recognizing that that you have a lot more power than you realize. And a lot of times, the things that you believe to be true, especially those things that are limiting or disempowering or making you feel stuck or helpless, like bound, the things that are preventing you from connecting to freedom, a lot of times those are just going to be ideas in your mind. They're not necessarily true in your external reality. But if you believe them to be true, you're going to act in such a way that just reflects that back to you. So it's like, if you think you're stuck and you commit to being stuck and you don't ever push the boundaries to see, like, am I stuck? Like, can I really not do this? Then you will always be stuck, right? So it's kind of like challenging those thoughts, challenging those limiting beliefs and perceptions. Like, you think that they're true, but what if they're not? Have you tested the boundaries? Do you really believe that to be true? Do you know it to be true? And so it's recognizing that sometimes taking the opportunity to observe our minds and what's going on gives us the chance to see, like, hey, I think this, and this has been like hanging over me and preventing me from doing like XYZ, but is that really the case, right? And so it's like, if you can start to investigate, like, do I really believe that? Is that actually mine? Because it might be something that someone told you a long time ago and it gave you a little bit of a complex and it inspired fear, and you've just subscribed to that, and it's not true, and it's also not right for you. So it's kind of taking the opportunity to say, like, what is holding me back? Because a lot of times, like, whatever is holding you back or keeping you stuck is you. It's just you believing these kind of like unhelpful lies. And if you can recognize what those are and how they're holding you back, then you can say, like, what do I believe? What do I align with? Like, the life that I want to live and create, like, what do I have to do to get there? And how are these unhelpful limiting beliefs keeping me from connecting to that? So it's like you might be challenged by this feeling of being stuck or powerless or not being able to like affect change in your life. And that is going to be a real struggle potentially. So to kind of balance that out and work through that, you're really being asked to just like kind of pause and release, like take some time, especially if you're feeling stuck or stagnant or like things aren't moving forward. It's recognizing that if you're in that place, you're there for a reason, and you're actually being given the opportunity to just kind of like slow down and disconnect. Because when we're really busy and active and constantly moving forward, especially in the physical world, it can be really easy to be disconnected from our minds and from our emotions and like our internal landscape. And that internal landscape is ultimately what motivates us and makes us move through life. So if we don't have moments to check in and see like, is what's going on the inside really truly what's best for me? And is it aligned with what I'm trying to achieve on the outside? So the Hanged Man is all about pause, embracing those periods of non-movement and stagnancy, those situations where you feel helpless or like you have no control. It's recognizing that, okay, maybe you don't, and leaning into that, right? Allowing yourself to rest, allowing yourself to reflect. And the Hanged Man is all about kind of like embracing this pause and allowing yourself to be changed by that experience. So if you're waiting, if you're feeling stagnant or limited, it's okay. If you're not moving anywhere, allowing yourself to learn, to gain new perspective, right? So the Hanged Man or woman is hanging upside down, and ultimately looking at the world upside down completely changes your perspective on life, which can change the way that you think about yourself, about your dreams, your manifestations, about your strength, your ability to manifest, right? So it's basically like leaning into this opportunity to get a new perspective, and that perhaps the reason that things aren't moving forward now is because you're being provided the opportunity to get that clarity, right? That clarity, that enlightenment, so that you know what's true for you, or you have a better idea of what you deserve, what you're capable of, how you've been holding yourself back, so that you can really start taking this creative, daydreamy energy and start moving toward that, right? Because why settle for just dreaming about it if you can do it, and if you can start, it might not be immediate, but if you can start getting closer to that in your physical reality, you don't need to be bound to a situation that feels hopeless or limited, right? So yeah, I think it's just leaning into it and accepting that like maybe the purpose now is for you to start shifting your perceptions and your beliefs about yourself, to start identifying the things that are holding you back, and to allow your mind to be changed about it. And then once your kind of perspective is changed, because you've been seeing the world kind of upside down, you've got a new idea about how things can happen for you. The highest possible outcome is actually connecting to some really deep, heartfelt energy. So the Knight of Cups is all about love, and it's like offers of love. It's forward movement in love. It's a very like gentle, emotional, romantic kind of energy. So it doesn't have to be specifically related to relationships or another person, although that is very much highlighted with this energy. But it's also about like your love for others, right? So all of your relationships, all of your interactions with other people, and also your love for yourself, right? Offering yourself more love and more understanding. So if you're single and you don't have a significant other, and that is like what you daydream about is this perfect person, not only in terms of being open to meeting that person, but it's starting to treat yourself with the same energy that you're looking for in another person, or that you would like a partner to treat you with, right? So it's like romancing yourself, like take yourself out for dinner, buy yourself a bouquet of flowers, right? And this can also be like extending offers of love to other people. And it's not just like a demonstrative in terms of like, material things, but also like, sharing emotions, right? Sharing deep connections with other people. It's like very much highlighted that you could connect with yourself and your emotions on a deeper level, practice more self-love, and kind of progress along your path. Because this is like, he's very much like the White Knight, right? Like, like he's got a little picnic. There's like a love letter here. He's got, his hat off and a bouquet of roses. So it's like connecting with that energy in your romantic relationships, or the relationships that you're trying to attract, and also with yourself. So there's kind of like the opportunity for a deeper level of love and connection. And I kind of get the vibe that might be very much connected to what it is you're dreaming of, because just cups in general, it all has to do with our emotions, our intuition, love and joy, and like deep connection. It can also be like soulmate energy, like the people that we feel really deeply drawn to and connected to, like your OG ride or dies, right? So I think that's really promising. So we'll get you a couple of affirmations, and I will finish off with one final oracle card. We'll see if that might shed a little bit more light on these cards. Normally I would clarify all of these, but for the sake of timing, we're already up there in time, longer than I was aiming for. So I'll try and get this wrapped up for you guys. Okay, so all right. So your first affirmation, the key to getting what I want is to ask for it. Yeah, so it's basically like your ideas, whatever you're dreaming of, it's like it's not going to come into your reality if you don't take action. So it's like either you taking action to do something that's going to take you closer to it, or asking for help, like whatever you need. Like ask and you shall receive, but if you don't ask, it's really difficult for things to come to you. So I think any kind of aversion that you have to asking for help or receiving help, that is also cups energy, like giving and receiving to yourself and to others. And so sometimes we want help and support, but we don't want to ask for it. Sometimes if we ask for it, we feel guilty about accepting it. So that might be something that you have to work through. That might also be tied to these like limiting beliefs. I welcome abundance and will pay attention to the guidance I receive. So yeah, abundance in terms of your manifestations, right? It is trusting yourself. And I think like perhaps this month, if you do connect with that daydreamy creative energy and like, you know, the things that inspire you, the things that you wish were in your life, I think that has a lot to do with guidance, like with the way that you receive guidance. And I think that's the way that abundance will ultimately manifest for you, is by, you know, following, oh my gosh, it sounds so cliche, but follow your dreams, follow your heart, but it's true. So, and it's like abundance, not only in the material form, but abundance comes in all forms. It can be health, love, time, happiness. It can be material, finance, family, all that kind of stuff. So I think manifesting abundance and happiness across the board has a lot to do with what these dreams look like for you and how you can start bringing that into your reality. So your oracle card to finish off is Pyrite. So I'm going to read directly from the guidebook. All right. So the essential meaning is inherent value, knowing your worth, self-appreciation, genuine abundance, and prosperity within. So which is very much the strength card. So perhaps your ideas about yourself and your worth are what is what is keeping you from abundance, whatever that looks like for you, whether abundance like in love, finance, career, creative expression, emotional expression, whatever. So I'll read from the guidebook here. Throughout the ages, humans have sought the gems of the earth, the crystals whose beauty delighted the eye and whose powers could aid them in their quest to achieve a sense of safety and abundance. They recognize the intrinsic value of these gifts from nature, and when Pyrite Spirit appears, you are meant to appreciate the abundance that the conscious universe has provided, an abundance of opportunities, resources, support, and most importantly, love. So it's like gratitude for the things that you already do have to help you manifest more. A scarcity mentality will prevent you from seeing all that is available to you, and you are called now to offer thanks for the myriad of gifts you have been given to help you achieve balance. As you take your healing journey, you will find it easier and easier to recognize that you will always have what you need. Abundance awaits as you ready yourself to claim it. The conscious universe has your back. What you need will not be denied you at this time, so open yourself to receiving it by practicing appreciation. Relationship message says, Pyrite Spirit has a clear message for you. Observe and appreciate the inherent value in your experiences and relationships. Those small moments of joy as you interact with the ones you love, those people around you who offer you support. Do you stop to appreciate the cumulative effects of your relationships with those who enhance your life? Today is a perfect day to do so. And as you look at the inherent value of things, notice the wealth of wisdom you are gaining as a result of a variety of experiences with a diversity of people. Pay attention to whether your relationships have inherent value. Are some simply ones you have accumulated, perhaps even starting to detract from your life? If they have no inherent value, let them go, for you were meant to experience relationships rich in love and support. And then prosperity. Prosperity shows up in different forms. Do you see and appreciate the inherent value in what you own, enjoy, and experience? Pyrite spirit, also known as fool's gold, reminds us that there is great value in many aspects of life, not just the material. The crystal spirit is here to draw your attention to all that is available to you, support, love, and resources to build upon. You don't have to do it all by yourself, for the conscious universe is your ally and wants you to experience prosperity. The road sometimes gets a little wonky, but only because you are being called to consider the riches you may be overlooking in your quest for more. Find the inherent value in what is yours, the memories, experiences, and situations that have brought you here to the brink of a breakthrough, if you are willing to practice appreciation. Move away from the externally imposed systems of valuation and what others find worthy to determine and appreciate what is valuable to you. Pyrite spirit will show you how much you have and are manifesting to co-create your most abundant life. And then there's a meditation. Pyrite has a very male energy to it. The stone aligns us with grounded action toward manifestation of abundance. It assists us in learning to take action one step at a time toward a desired physical outcome. Meditation with the stone to tune into the great value in all, or meditate with the stone to tune into the great value in all aspects of your life. The abundance and potentiality will also always be available to you, and then you will be a magnet for prosperity. So I think that's really interesting because, you know, with Imagine here and what I was saying about like bringing your dreams into reality, and then with the Pentacles here being about physical manifestations and the time, effort, and that continuous kind of forward movement, those little steps that you have to take each day to bring something into your reality or to see something to fruition. This is very much is like you have a lot of power to manifest, whether you believe it or not. And so it's like maybe leaning into believing it, not limiting yourself, not worrying about what anyone else thinks or how other people say or think it should be done, you know, recognizing the value that you have and the prosperity that's already around you, connecting to your inspiration and allowing that to guide your actions, and to seeing like, you know, at the very least, like what's the worst that could happen if you start to kind of follow this guidance, to try and get a little bit closer to whatever it is that's going to make you feel the happiest, the most aligned and fulfilled. So Libra, I think that's a really wonderful reading. I hope this helps. I hope you have a great month. If you enjoyed this reading, the best way to support me is to like this video, to leave me a comment, to share this content with anyone that you think might be interested, and also to subscribe to my channel so you can head on over to Bright Soul Collective Tarot, check out my other videos, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to notifications as well, and that will keep you up to date on new videos as they're posted. So it's been a pleasure reading for you. I can't wait to read for you again next month, and to see what that has in store for you. But in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.